Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Apothecary and welcome back to my channel. So I've decided to go back to the old way of doing my bi-weekly reading check-ins because I realized that life gets so busy for me during the week that I don't have as much time as I used to do my check-ins after I finish a book. So until my life can get a little bit more calmer and school is over and whatnot, I think I'm gonna go back to just doing one video for the last 2 weeks and see how this turns out, because it felt like I was basically doing that already without planning it. So this video is my bi-weekly reading update for the last 2 weeks, starting from February 4th going through February 17th. And I'm actually going to start this one off with a very small book haul. So last week my mom had my niece all day and we went to brunch, and then we went to Barnes & Noble, and both me and my 7-year-old niece, who's become such a great reader, got 2 new books each, thanks to Mom. I got R.F. Kuang's Babel, which I am so excited to read. I've heard, this has been a decisive book. People either loved it or they didn't, but I think I will absolutely love this book. I think it's going to bring me back almost to my grad school days, and it's going to really make me think. And so I need to find a good time when my brain wants that thinking while I'm reading. It's not a book that you can just jump right into. It has to be at the right moment. But I'm so excited to have this ready for that when that moment strikes. And then the other book I got because of the buy one get one 50% off sale, I'm a sucker for those sales, is Gideon the Ninth by Tasman Muir. I am so excited for this book. I have heard such amazing things about it. I know Leslie absolutely loves this book. She hasn't even read the second book yet because she keeps rereading this one. And I can't wait to see what Gideon the Ninth is all about. Now, the other book that I have in my book haul is actually a book that was gifted to me. They somehow ended up with 2 of these books, and I am so grateful that they thought of me because it is absolutely beautiful and I am so excited. That is An Imperial Retinue by Josiah Bancroft. This was printed by the Subterranean Press, and these are really expensive and limited edition copies, and I'm so excited. So this is a bunch of, I think, short stories that Josiah Bancroft wrote going along with his Books of Babel series, and there's illustrations, and they're absolutely stunning. I mean, look at that cover. That is gorgeous. And the back is absolutely gorgeous. And it has, if I can find it quickly, it has, there it is, my favorite picture of Byron, my favorite character in the whole series. And look at that. That is just absolutely stunning. I am just blown away by it. All the detail in it. And that just encapsulates Byron so well. So I am so excited and so grateful to be sent this book. I can't wait to add that to the rotation. So now for our actual reading updates. I've got a couple books to check in on that I've finished, and then we'll talk about my current reads and what I'm going to be reading next. So first, last Sunday, I did our short story Sunday with Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Y'all, somehow I've made it this far and have not read the original content for this, and I absolutely loved everything about this short story novella. It was long for a short story, which is why I say maybe it was more novella than short story. But it was so good. It was so good. The characters were fantastic. The atmosphere was spot on. The setting, the writing, everything about it was just great. And I have one quote for you all because it just captures Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde so well. All human beings, as we meet them, are commingled out of good and evil. And Edward Hyde, alone in the ranks of mankind, was pure evil. I just love it. The foreboding that gives, This short story novella was so great. I highly recommend it. If you haven't read the original source material for a lot of these horror, fantasy, sci-fi stories that we have these days, highly recommend at least checking out that short story. After that, I finished A Grave for Us All by Michael Roberti. This is book 2 in the Crown and Tide series. I had an arc for this. I was reading it while Michael was editing it and giving him feedback to add into his edits before it gets released. I think he's aiming for a March release, if I remember correctly. This one I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I absolutely loved it. This is by far Michael Roberti's best writing, and I had so many quotes that I wrote down from this, but one to share with you all that I felt like summed it up really well. History is only made in the retelling. There are 3 stories: ours, theirs, and what really happened. And I just loved A Grave for Us All, and I can't wait for everyone else to read this. I also finished Blood Rights by Jim Butcher, book 6, I think, or 7, in the Dresden Files, and I loved everything about it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm already about halfway through the next book, Dead Beat, and I am loving it. Each book gets better as we go along, and I just am so excited for this series, and as I read one book, I can't wait to see where that book goes, and I can't wait to see where the next book goes. So I'm loving everything about it. And then I finished a couple Sphinx finalist novellas. So we've got Runes of Smoke by Joe Silva. This one I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I thought the writing was good, but I would have appreciated this story more if I read his first book in the series, Seeds of War, and I think somewhere he actually recommends reading that book before this novella. Even though this is a prequel novella, I felt like I would have appreciated the characters and the setting and the magic and the world more if I read Seeds of War first and then read into this. Then I finished A Wolf in Thieves' Clothing by Lily Ann Crow. This one I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is an action-packed, heist gone wrong novella that is absolutely fantastic. We've got pirates and thieves and disguises and magic and assassins, and it was just so much fun. It made me want to definitely read more of Lily Ann Crow's writing. And then I had my first DNF for the year. This was We're All Monsters Here by Amy Marston, the 3rd finalist I read for Sphinx, and I made it to about, I think it was 35% in the book, and I just couldn't connect with any of the characters or the story or the setting. And I think it's partly because I've got such high expectations for vampire books because I loved Interview with a Vampire, and ever since I was like 12, I've been obsessed with Dracula. So my expectations for vampire books are really, really high. And this one just didn't connect with me. And my other kind of gripe against this novella is that it didn't have any chapters, and so for me as a reader that reads by chapters, it was really hard. It did have breaks, which I treated kind of as chapters, but it didn't have the actual chapters, so it was hard for me to pace my reading. And that leaves me with my current reads, what I'm reading right now, The Gathering Storm by Brandon Sanderson and Robert Jordan, book 12 in the Wheel of Time series. I am loving this so much. I'm taking it slower than I planned, but I am enjoying this so much. Brandon Sanderson has made this series so much better. Already just reading The Gathering Storm, I can see the improvement on this series. You know, I've really enjoyed this series up till now and Robert Jordan's writing, and he did leave a lot of extensive notes for Brandon Sanderson, and Brandon Sanderson talked to Robert Jordan's wife, his editor, so he got a lot of notes and insight into Robert Jordan's writing, but I feel like he brought something to this book, this series, that I don't think we would have gotten if Robert Jordan had finished this series the way he had planned. I'm also reading The Delve by Danny Finn, and this is a dark fantasy romancy maybe? I'm enjoying it, and what I like most about it so far is that the humans are the bad guys in this book, and our main points of views are non-human, which you don't often get, especially in fantasy. For some reason, all of these books still revolve around humans. And so in Danny Finn's book, The Delve, we get other points of view from besides humans, and I love it. Another book that I'm loving, actually 2 more books that I'm loving, Deadbeat by Jim Butcher, which I mentioned earlier. This is the next book in the Dresden series, and y'all, these books just get better as they go along. Also, I'm buddy reading Beach Read by Emily Henry with Leslie at the Nerdy Narrative. Actually, she's already finished it. She kind of binged it because Emily Henry's writing is so good. You can just read it straight through without any breaks, really. You could read it in 1 or 2 sittings. It's that good. This story is about 2 writers who are on a complete writing block. They can't move forward in their books. They are college rivals, and they just happen to be living next door to each other during the summer, and they've made a bet that they have to write the other one's kind of writing style, and whichever one gets published first, the loser has to then help promote it and sell it and recommend it wherever they go. And I am loving this so much. I'm so glad that Leslie and I are reading this together. And then my last current read is, of course, the Jane Austen collection on audiobook. I am, I think, still in Pride and Prejudice, but I am enjoying this so much. So that leaves me with my next reads. What am I looking forward to reading next? We have Seekers by Troy Knowlton. This one is my self-pub book for February. I'm hoping to still squeeze it into February. A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross was my patron pick of the month picked by Kate, and I am really, really looking forward to this. This is book 2, following A River Enchanted, which you all know I absolutely loved that book. And Children of the Black Moon. Other books that I hope to squeeze in, at least start in February, include The Towers of Midnight, which is book 13 on the Wheel of Time series. As you know, my reading is slowing down. I've got less reading time, and I'm also trying to take my time and really sink in to my reading and enjoy it and pay attention to it instead of trying to speed it through. So my Wheel of Time reading might be prolonged a month longer than originally planned because The Gathering Storm is taking longer. But I still hope to at least start The Towers of Midnight by the end of February, which we have about a week and a half, 2 weeks-ish left for that. So that's it for now. Of course, let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite reading moment in the past 2 weeks? What are you looking forward to reading the most in the next 2 weeks? Keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.